This is Donna Miller with Vote Voice Podcast. And I'm here again, and we're getting ready to talk about some more voter suppression. The creature of voter suppression has not stopped eating, and the creature of voter suppression's sole intent is to eat up all of our voting rights. Do you support free and fair elections? Do you support being able to go to the ballot box and use your voice to let your feelings about how you want your country run to be heard? Do you think that we should be dictated to by a small group of people who want to take away our voting rights so that they can stay in power? I don't think so. I don't think this country was founded on the ideal of a dictatorship. I'm just saying, I don't think so. Let's get into this. This is Donna Miller with Vote Voice. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We are on LinkedIn also, okay? And we have a webpage at www.votevoice.com, and we're looking forward to our new webpage. It's going to be up soon, and we'll be sure to notify everyone when that happens. Let's get ready to talk about voter suppression. Georgia, the federal district court has rejected a request to temporarily block parts of the sweeping voter restriction law that Republicans passed early in the spring. Though the case will still proceed on the merits, the ruling held that it was too close to upcoming runoff elections on July 13th to change the rules, citing higher court precedents against changing election rules too close to election day, even when the procedures in question are legally suspect. But of course, these conservative jurists haven't enforced the same prohibition against GOP legislators changing their laws just months before the elections. There seems to be a big deal about that, about what people who support voter suppression see and what people who support it do not. And it seems to be, unfortunately, that the sole supporters of voter suppression is the Republican Party. We're nonpartisan here, but you cannot get around the fact that the Republican Party seems to be the only ones pushing voter suppression laws. And so there we go. I want you to know I'm getting this information from the Daily Kos, and I thank the Daily Kos, and please read them and support them. Thank you. Now, continuing on in Georgia, unlike the 7 other lawsuits that are mainly seeking to block the law's voting restrictions, this lawsuit is largely challenging election security provisions in the law that the plaintiffs argue threaten voters' privacy and election observers' ability to monitor voting to ensure it runs smoothly, though it also is opposing the increased 11-day deadline before Election Day to request absentee ballots. You know, there's a lot of poll voter suppression in these bills where they are allowing people to come in and take pictures of you or record you and intimidate you. Hey, what are you doing? What kind of mark are you doing? What kind of pin is that? Oh my God, can you imagine? You know that there's people afraid to vote in Haiti today? That people are in fear of their lives. They're killing people. Is this what we're going to come to? Where a small group of people can kill you just to prevent you from voting? We need to stop voter suppression now. Okay? I've said this before, I'll say it again. We need to stop voter suppression by voting. We need to make sure that we vote no matter what they do to us, no matter what they take away. Let's pray that we have a federal bill for the People Act passed so that our voting rights can be protected. Because eventually, when you and I are long gone, if we don't start fighting voter suppression now, eventually They're going to intimidate us. They're going to say, we're going to kill you before we let you vote. And that is what we're inching to if we don't stop voter suppression now. How do we stop it? We vote. This is what we the people can do. And we elect people who believe in our right to vote. And we support the people who believe in our right to vote. And we make sure our voices are heard. We make sure people know that we believe in the right to vote. Let's talk about Kansas. The League of Women Voters and other nonpartisan voting advocacy groups who are waging one or two ongoing lawsuits over legislation Kansas Republicans passed early this year to restrict voting have announced that they are suspending their voter registration efforts due to fear of prosecution under the new law. Do you see already? This is July 10th, 2021. The GOP's legislation makes it a crime to conduct activity that gives the appearance of being an election official. Bans election officials from assisting or educating voters. Oh, I'm banned. So they're going to ban. Do you know how many people assist voters? So basically, let me tell you what they're banning when they ban, when the League of Women Voters and other people have to stop. They're banning candidate forms. They're banning information about candidates on websites. They're banning Ballotpedia. They're banning Secretary of State sites. They're banning Vote Voiced. They're banning, gosh, you know how you watch? They're probably going to end up even banning CNN's coverage or other news coverage of elections. This is how serious this is, people. You need to vote. You need to educate yourself, okay? And make sure you keep track of when the elections are, and make sure you vote for people who support free and clear elections. Okay? The GOP, let's see what else. Hold on, let me get there. Bans out-of-state groups from sending absentee ballot applications to voters, adds new requirements for absentee ballot signature verification, and bans people or groups from helping more than 10 voters return their absentee ballots. This is not the first time in the past decade that Kansas Republicans have intimidated voting advocacy groups into stopping their voter drive efforts. That means you can't even call people, remind them to vote. You can't help people to register. Okay? You can't do anything. You're going to have to become self-sufficient in order to fight voter suppression. You're going to have to educate yourself, get yourself to the polls. You're going to start calling up your Secretary of State, calling up your city clerk. Okay, you're going to have to make sure that you stay in touch as much as you can and find out when you have to go to vote. Let's see. Okay, so back in 2013, let's give an example. Republicans passed a law requiring documentary proof of citizenship to register to vote, which was eventually struck down in federal court, but had created a chilling effect on registration drives since few voters carried their passport or similar documents around day to day, and led to the suspension of 1 in 7 new registrations while it was in effect. They don't want you to vote because oh my God, you have to think about it. I want you to think about something right now. Go grab your passport right now. Someone comes to your door and they say, we'd like to register you to vote. Are you registered to vote? Let's say you had to go and register to vote. Grab your passport. This is America. You don't have to have a passport unless you're traveling out of the country. We don't have passports from state to state. Okay? Somebody comes to your door, or you have to go register to vote. You're going to carry around your birth certificate? Where's your birth certificate? Grab it. Grab it right now. Where is it? Think about it. Where's your birth certificate? They know what they're doing. Let's talk about Louisiana. The Democratic governor has vetoed a bill passed by Republicans with some Democratic support that would require voters to include their driver's license or state ID card number with their absentee ballot and application, or include part of their social security number if they lack a state ID. Republicans are just shy of the seats needed to override a veto alone in the state house, but they may be able to win over a few Democrats or independents necessary for an override. Okay. How many people are suspicious of putting you're going to put your social security number on a document? Not a lot of people are going to do that. But they know this. They're trying to frighten you into not voting. Don't let them frighten you into not voting. You make sure you vote. In Massachusetts, Bay State Republicans have announced they will attempt to place an initiative on the ballot next year that would adopt a voter ID requirement, which would require roughly 80,000 signatures to qualify for the ballot. We have ID, but they're trying to make the ID requirement so odious that it is difficult for you to vote, like counting bubbles on a soap bar or how many jelly beans are in the jar. Nebraska, the Nebraska State Senator Julie Salma, I hope I said that right, and other GOP officials have announced they are undertaking an effort to put a voter photo ID constitutional amendment on the ballot as an initiative next year. Republicans will need to obtain signatures equivalent to 10% of registered voters, meaning the exact number depends on when the signatures are submitted. But that proportion equates to roughly 124,000 voters, according to the state's most recent registration statistics. Nebraska is the only state remaining where Republicans control both the legislature and the governor's office, but have not yet passed a voter ID law. Past legislative attempts have repeatedly failed to obtain the 2/3 support necessary to overcome Democratic filibusters, and Republicans have shown little signs so far of a willingness to eliminate Nebraska's unusually strong filibuster rule by majority vote. Everywhere we go, they want a voter ID law, but these voter ID laws do not make sense. When you read them, listen, if you're in a state where they're putting these voter ID laws and all these voter suppression laws on the books, go find this written laws. Find them. They are somewhere on a website in your state. Read it. It doesn't make sense. New Hampshire. Dealing a blow to Republican voter suppression efforts, New Hampshire Supreme Court unanimously struck down a 2017 law that imposed new voter residency requirements and made it more difficult for young voters and college students in particular to cast their ballots. The 4-0 ruling that the law violated the state constitution's right to vote guarantee comes despite GOP Governor Chris Sununu having flipped the court's previous Democratic appointed majority to 3-2 Republican. Okay, let me see. The law in question requires voters who registered to vote within 30 days of an election to show additional documentation that they live day to day at the residence they claim as their domicile and intend to do so long term. Now, how are you going to tell somebody, how are you going to prove that you intend to live there? How are you going to prove that? You don't know how long you're going to be in a place. Are you going, what? Yes, I'm going to live there. So, oh my God, what more do they want? Voters who lack suitable documentation could only pass provisional ballots, which would only count if they could provide documents proving their residency met the law's requirements at a later date. If they didn't, the law empowers state election officials to visit their homes and refer them to the Secretary of State's office for potential investigation, which may have intimidated voters. Ooh, why is it some people are always trying to use, you know who that's for, that law, okay, that's for people of color. Come on now, let's just say it. We're gonna call the cops on you if we don't think you should be voting. We don't think you're honest. Come on now. New Hampshire has the highest proportion of college students in the country, making up over 15% of their voting age population, and Republicans under the governor passed this measure to make voting more difficult for various demographics, such as students who lean Democratic. However, with Republicans having regained their gerrymandered legislative majorities in 2020, there's a considerable risk they will simply pass new restrictions on young voters in the wake of this defeat. Students, what are you going to do? I don't know. Because a student is temporary by nature. Listen, students, if you can't, that you should be able to vote in the state that you're residing, and it shouldn't be difficult. But students, let me say this. You can have an absentee ballot from your state. Make sure you vote in your state, especially in these major presidential elections. Okay, take whatever steps you need to take to make sure that you can vote in your state if they're going to prevent you from voting in the college state you're in. Remember that college state is only 4 years, okay? You're going home. Make sure that you vote. Do whatever's necessary to make sure that you vote. Do not let the creature of voter suppression stop you from voting. The last one, South Dakota. Native American plaintiffs are waging a lawsuit in federal court arguing that Republican-run South Dakota is violating the 1993 National Voter Registration Act, commonly known as the Motor Voter Law, by failing to properly provide opportunities to register to vote at certain state agencies, and sometimes even failing to forward registration applications to election officials even when they do. The plaintiffs first filed their case last year, but recently updated it to expand the number of plaintiffs. Wow. Okay. Michigan. Let's talk about Michigan's. I've talked about it before. Let's talk about it again. Michigan Bill SB 285 eliminates the option to sign an affidavit in place of photo ID when voting in person, requires absentee voters to include a copy of their photo ID when mailing in their absent ballot application, and prevents ballots cast by voters who do not show photo ID from being counted on election day. Voters attempting to cure their ballots and get them counted must present proof of residency in addition to photo ID, even if they are in the poll book. Most people do not have access to a copier, and requiring a photo ID is an undue and unnecessary burden on voters exercising their constitutional right to vote by mail. The affidavit is an important option for those who choose to vote in person and do not have photo ID. Our current system works just fine, and the burdens of these new rules would fall disproportionately on elderly, poor, and minority voters. Now that's SB 285 is coming out of Michigan. Voter suppression, people. Fast and heavy. The creature is hungry. Chomp, chomp, chomp. We must fight voter suppression by voting. There is a primary election in some cities in Michigan. Okay? Hold on. primary election. So sorry, I'm going to get this information. Primary election. Okay. Okay. Primary election in Michigan. Okay. Okay, now the cities that there's a primary election, August 3rd, 2021. The polls in Michigan open at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, now here are the cities that I am aware of. This is the area I live in, okay? They're going to, so I don't know what cities are in different parts of Michigan, but in this part of Michigan, okay? Taylor, Michigan, Highland Park, Michigan, Westland, Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan, Dearborn Heights, Michigan, Riverview, Michigan, Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan, Grosse Pointe Park, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, and Hamtramck, Michigan. See, I'm close to Detroit in that area of Michigan, okay? So I want you guys who are hearing the sound of my voice in this area to remember that you have a primary election. You are getting ready to choose the people you want to run for mayor, you want to run for city council, okay? Make sure you know who you're voting for. Go in there, look at their names, go to their Facebook page, see who they are, read the information that they're sending you. You will have a ballot. If you have an absentee ballot, make sure you sign that ballot. Make sure you send it in. Before you start marking people, take their name one step at a time and look them up. Google your candidates, okay? Google your candidates, okay? I want you to remember that the League of Women Voters who are being forbidden to help voters with information in different parts of the state, in the state of Michigan, okay, that has not taken place yet, okay? Go to Vote 411. They have a list of voters and what they stand for. Go ahead and take a look at that. Make your choice. Make an informed choice, okay, when you vote. We must fight voter suppression by voting. I've already sent in my absentee ballots. Thank God I'm able to have one. Thank God that voter suppression isn't at every single step, okay? We need to fight it. We need For the People Act. Okay? There's nothing wrong. I'm nonpartisan. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but what I am telling you is to vote. Get out there and vote, okay? Fight voter suppression by voting. That's the power you have. And listen, wherever you are, if they're making it difficult to vote, if they're making it difficult to register, keep going back and back and back. Cross the bridge, people. Cross the bridge, okay? I don't care how many hoses they use on you, how many dogs they sick on you. Okay, keep going. Go back and back and back to the counter. They might never serve you, but you're going to make it better for somebody else. Do you understand? Keep going back. Don't give up. We must fight voter suppression. How do we do that? We fight it by voting. We fight voter suppression, Americans, by voting. Okay? That's our power. Voting. Listen, my name is Donna Miller. This is Vote Voice Podcast. You can see I'm passionate about our right to vote. I'm going to keep you informed. I want to thank Daily Costs for, sending out this information to all of us. Look, sign up for Daily Costs' email. Support Daily Costs. Support everyone you can that's fighting voter suppression. I want to thank everyone for supporting Vote Voice. Please continue to support us. We need your help. I thank you very much. Everyone, you have a wonderful day. This is Donna Miller with Vote Voice. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Okay, we're at LinkedIn. We're at our website is www.votevoice.com. We're going to update that soon. And I just thank everybody. You have a wonderful day. God bless you. And remember to vote in every election and make voting your lifestyle.